Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bible study video. Today we are going through chapter 42 of Genesis. I hope you guys have been enjoying it so far. We are on day 6. If it's your first time watching, we do have other 5 chapters that you can watch before reading this one so that everything makes sense. And if you've been following along, thank you so much, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. Comment down below if you are, what you've taken from these chapters. But yeah, let's get into it. Yesterday we went through the whole of Joseph getting out of prison and being promoted into the one who is going to be just below the king to look after Egypt, and everybody is going to follow his orders. He's basically ruling Egypt under the king. And also yesterday we saw at the end that the famine has spread all around the world, and even to his family, so Joseph's family. And if you don't know, Joseph's family, his brothers sold him. So now we're going to get into, as you can see, Joseph's brothers go to Egypt. Now we're going to get into that. When Jacob heard that grain was available in Egypt, so Jacob is Joseph's father. So when he heard that grain was available in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why are you standing around and looking at each other?" So here I'm just assuming it could be like that guilt. So when he mentioned Egypt, they looked at each other like, oh God, like we sold our brother to, Ishmaelites that were going to Egypt. So it's that guilt, I think. I could be wrong. But he was like, "Why are you standing around and just looking at one another? I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy enough grain to keep us alive. Otherwise, we will die." 3. So Joseph's 10 older brothers went down to Egypt to buy grain. But Jacob wouldn't let Joseph's younger brother Benjamin to go with them, for fear some harm might come to him. So Jacob's sons arrived in Egypt along with others to buy food, for the famine was in Canaan as well. Okay, so Jacob is in Canaan. So Jacob is Joseph's father. They all live in Canaan, and the famine had reached them as well. That's why they had to go to Egypt to buy some grain, some food. As you can see, all the 10 brothers, the older brothers went, but not Benjamin, who is the younger brother. I'm guessing it's the brother that came after Joseph. So Joseph has not met Benjamin. And Jacob it says here he had some fear of some harm might come to him. Maybe he had that fear that, I don't want something happening to Benjamin as well. So I'm not going to allow him to go. Since Joseph was governor for all Egypt and in charge of selling grain to all people, it was to him that his brothers came. When they arrived, they bowed before him with their faces to the ground, as the dream said. So if we go back, I wrote here Genesis 37 verse 9. If we go back to that verse over there, you guys can see it. I think the tripod is higher than usual today. So Genesis 37 verse 9. Soon Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. "Listen, I've had another dream," he said. "The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me." Oh, wow. So the sun, I'm guessing, is the dad, the moon is the mom, the 11 stars are his 11 brothers. So it's his 10 brothers, and Benjamin is number 11, bowed low before me. And now that is what's happening right now. Well, for now it's just the 10 stars. So number 7. Joseph recognized his brothers instantly, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. "Where are you from?" he demanded. "From the land of Canaan," they replied. "We have come to buy food." Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they didn't recognize him, and he remembered the dreams he had about them many years ago. He said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." 10. "No, my lord," they exclaimed, "your servants have simply come to buy food. We are all brothers, members of the same family. We are honest men, sir. We are not spies." Funny how they call themselves honest men, but they haven't told their father what they did to Joseph. 12. "Yes, you are," Joseph insisted. "You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." "Sir," they said, "there are actually 12 of us. We, your servants, are all brothers, sons of a man living in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is back there with our father right now, and one of our brothers is no longer with us." Okay, so they remember Joseph, and it's funny how they call themselves your servants. Okay, 14. But Joseph insisted, "As I said, you are spies. This is how I will test your story. I swear by the life of Pharaoh, who is the king of Egypt, that you will never leave Egypt unless your youngest brother comes here. One of you must go and get your brother. I'll keep the rest of you here in prison. Then we'll find out whether or not your story is true. By life of Pharaoh, if it turns out that you don't have a younger brother, then I'll know you are spies." So Joseph put them all in prison for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, "I am a God-fearing man. If you do as I say, you will live. If you really are honest, choose one of the brothers to remain in prison. The rest of you may go home with grain for your starving families, but you must bring your youngest brother back to me. This will prove that you are telling the truth, and you will not die." To this they agreed. Speaking amongst themselves, they said, "Clearly we are being punished because of what we did to Joseph long ago. We saw his anguish when he pleaded for his life, but we wouldn't listen. That's why we are in trouble." So crazy how this is what guilt does to you. So if you do something and you know that you do something that is wrong and no one knows, and you keep it amongst yourself or yourselves if you are with someone else, guilt will make you feel like everything that is happening is punishment from what you did. So yeah, being guilty is the worst feeling. You feel like you're already in prison even though you're not in prison. And if you feel like that, repent, pray to God, ask to be relieved of that, because it's not a nice feeling to go through. But also just be careful what you do to other people, because it will haunt you if it's something especially that they didn't deserve. Even if they did deserve that kind of revenge, just leave everything to God and keep your conscience nice and clean. Okay, let's go to 22. "Didn't I tell you not to sin against the boy?" Reuben asked. So I don't know if you remember, Reuben is the one that said, "Guys, please don't kill him. Rather just leave him over there." And he was hoping to secretly return him back home. "But you didn't listen, and now we have to answer for his blood." Number 23. "Of course they didn't know that Joseph understood them, for he had been speaking to them through an interpreter." Okay, so Joseph obviously now understands the language of Egypt, and he's obviously from a Hebrew, so I'm guessing they're speaking Hebrew language, and he can hear both languages. So because he is a ruler here in Egypt, he has to speak, the Egyptian language, and he has an interpreter. So he could hear them speaking towards himself, and all what Reuben is saying, and he can hear that Reuben is the one that said, like, don't harm, don't sin against the boy. So he can hear everything. 24. "Now he turned away from them and began to weep." So again, I think weep is crying quietly. So it's that painful cry, that quiet cry. "When he regained his composure, he turned to them again. Then he chose Simeon from among them, and he had him tied up right before their eyes. Joseph then ordered his servants to fill the men's sacks with grain, but he also gave secret instructions to return each brother's payment at the top of his sack. He also gave them supplies for their journey home. So the brothers loaded their donkeys with grain and headed for home. Okay, so he chose Simeon. He didn't want their money, so he gave secret instruction to tie their money on top of their sacks and then send them back home. 27. But when they stopped for the night and one of them opened their sack to get grain for his donkey, he found his money in the top of his sack. "Look," he exclaimed to his brothers, "my money has been returned. It's in my sack." Then their hearts sank. Trembling, they said to each other, What has God done to us?" So weird how they're saying, "What has God done to us?" I'm guessing when they saw their money, they felt like, oh my gosh, has, that man done us a kindness, or did we steal? I think now, they no longer have those proud hearts that they used to have. They're now humbled. Obviously, they are more grown, more mature. They are fathers and others are married or whatever. And they reflected and looked back to how they were when they were young, being jealous and being mean and even selling their brother, even plotting to kill their brother. And now it's obvious that their hearts have changed, but we're obviously still going to read more. 29. When the brothers came to their father, Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened to them. "The man who is the governor of the land spoke very harshly to us," they told him. "He accused us of being spies, scouting the land. But we said, we are honest men, not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of one father. One brother is no longer with us, and the youngest is home with our father in the land of Canaan." So you see how they say we are 12 sons of one father. So obviously their father is Jacob, and Jacob, if you have read Genesis from the beginning, Jacob was in love with Rachel, really wanted to marry Rachel. He had to end up marrying Leah first, who is Rachel's older sister, had sons with Leah, and then had sons with Rachel, his first love, who he married afterwards. And Joseph is one of Rachel's sons. 33. Then the man who is the governor of the land told us, "This is how I will find out if you are being honest men. Leave one of your brothers here with me and take grain for your starving families and go home. But you must bring your youngest brother back to me. Then I will know you are honest men and not spies. Then I will give you back your brother, and you may trade freely in the land." Okay, so obviously they told the real story of what happened. And let's see what Jacob says. Let's see what the father says. 35. As they emptied out their sacks, there in each man's sack was a bag of money he had paid for the grain. The brothers and their father were terrified, and when they saw the bags of money, Jacob exclaimed, "You are robbing me of my children? Joseph is gone, Simeon is gone, and now you want to take Benjamin too. Everything is going against me." Then Reuben said to his father, "You may kill two of my sons, if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. I'll be responsible for him, and I promise to bring him back." But Jacob replied, "My son will not go down with you. His brother Joseph is dead, and he is all I have left. If anything should happen to him on your journey, you would send his grieving, white-haired man to his grave." Okay, so I'm assuming here that since he's saying he is all I have left, why would you say that if you have, 11 sons? But I think it's the only son left from Rachel. So it was Joseph, and then I'm guessing Benjamin now is the second one from Rachel. And he says, if anything should happen to me I will literally die. You're going to save his father, his white, I'm guessing he's an old man now with white hair, his white-haired man to his grave. I will literally die if anything happens to Benjamin. And Reuben, shame. Reuben has always been the nice father, the nice brother. He's like, just, you can kill my sons if I don't bring back Benjamin to you. I'll be responsible to him. Because I'm guessing Reuben already feels so bad for what they did. And now that he's a father of his own, obviously, he can just imagine if someone had to take away his son and say he was ripped by an animal or whatever. So, yeah. So I also see that they were just in fear that their money was not taken. Obviously, Joseph didn't want their money, just, wanted them to have food. But they probably are terrified and they feel like they now going to be looked at like they've stole from Egypt. And when they come back to go fetch their brother Simeon, maybe things are going to go very bad for them. They're just not sure what's going to happen. So they're very terrified. It's really a sad one, this one, just because there's a lot of emotions going on, with Joseph weeping and seeing his brothers. I'm sure he was just shocked hearing them speak and realizing my dream was real, and you guys almost killed me because of, a dream. What did you guys get from this? Did you enjoy this chapter? And also, just comment down below, why didn't Joseph reveal his identity immediately to his brothers? Why has he kept his identity a secret? Why do you think is that? Do you think it's because he just want to see what kind of people are they now? Or he's just trying to, make them beg for their lives to him? I don't know. Like, why do you think he's not revealing his identity? I will see you guys tomorrow as we go through chapter 43, which is about the brothers returning to Egypt. So this is going to be very interesting. If they're going to go with Benjamin, like what's going to happen. Thank you guys for watching and have a lovely day. Bye.